this year, so it's the last year I'm going to be with all of you. And I'm very happy to be here with you, sharing this day of peace. And the first part is an introduction that I wrote, and it's kind of focused on the immigrant community here in the U.S., kind of asking the U.S., don't forget about us. And but I think it can also extend to other cultures, other immigrants within the U.S. that experience being marginalized within U.S. society. So here it is. País de sueños, América, América, no me abandones hoy. Mi padre, él me dijo, no se te olvide de dónde eres, de la virgencita, de tu abuelita. Mi padre, él me dijo, no se te olvide de dónde eres, naciste del desierto que crucé yo ese día. América, América, no me abandones hoy.
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Edward Luck and Dr. Dana Luck to the University of San Diego.
Thank you, Leanne, for those very kind words, and let me reiterate our thanks for all that you've done to see the school through the transition. I'm delighted that the founding dean, Bill Headley, is here. He left very strong foundations on which to build. I knew that there was a time difference between San Diego and New York, but I didn't know that it was 24 hours. And that San Diego, of course, is 24 hours ahead of New York, because New York and the rest of the world won't be celebrating this until tomorrow. So I'm glad that this school and this community is so very, very progressive. I'll be very brief with my remarks because I know I'm standing between you and hearing from the women peacemakers from around the world, and also the release of the doves. And so those are two big events, and so I'll just say a few things to get things started. I'm not a historian, but I'm sometimes accused of being one. And I decided to look back at the founding of this day 31 years ago. And I think it's worth looking at some of the wording in that General Assembly resolution. Now, most people ignore General Assembly resolutions whenever possible, which was usually probably a wise thing to do, but this one has stayed around and I think had some things of interest for us. One, it was to coincide this day with the opening of the General Assembly. Now, whether this General Assembly will be any more successful than past ones in correcting the wrongs of the world, I think remain to be seen. But I think it's important, as all the heads of state and government flock to New York, that this is a celebration noted around the world. It's also, I think, worth noting that that resolution was based on a decision by the International Association of University Presidents, who had been meeting in Costa Rica, and said there ought to be an international celebration of peace. And so I think the fact that we're doing this on a university campus is very, very relevant and apt. Now, it's worth noting as well that even though this was a gathering in the General Assembly, as always, of representatives of member states, they said in this resolution, and I quote, "A peace based exclusively upon the political and economic arrangements of governments would not be a peace which could secure the unanimous, lasting, and sincere support of the peoples of the world, and that the peace must therefore be founded, if it is not to fail, upon the intellectual and moral solidarity of mankind. Now that, I think, gets to the heart of the matter. Peace doesn't begin with governments. It begins with all of us. And I'm very pleased to see so many non-governmental partners here. For many years I ran an NGO, the UN Association of the USA. So I have a weakness for citizen organizing to deal with these kinds of issues. And I often think with the things we deal with at the UN, if the support and the impetus is from the bottom up, then it might be sustainable. He was indecisive.
And I'll let the women introduce themselves to you and give you their words for this important day.
Namaste and very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm privileged to be here and I'm honored. May I ask to you guys, how many people know about the country, name of the country, Buddha and Mount Everest? Yeah, this is the country is Mount Everest and Buddha is name is Nepal. I belong from Nepal. And I am Radha Paudel, a woman peacemaker from Nepal. I founded organization called Action Oaks Nepal for global peace and justice. Action Oaks Nepal has key strategy to connect people globally called Miteri Gaon, Let Us Live Together campaign. It is composed by two languages. Miteri Gaon is a Nepali language and Let Us Live Together campaign is itself an international language. And it means, it gives the sense of mutual love and respect beyond marriage and blood relation. Miteri Gaon, Let Us Live Together campaign has 4 attributes. The one is, it connects people globally regardless the developing and developed, the east and west, the black and white, and the Christian and Christianity and etc. It works in holistic approach. We frame it as Dean Locke said, without addressing the inequalities, we can't bring the peace, we can't ensure the peace. That is why Action Oaks Nepal, through the Miteri Gaon, Let Us Live Together campaign, we are working holistic approach. It means women empowerment, education support, economic empowerment, and humanitarian assistance. It also works across all levels. It means at the local level, which is focused on the western part of Nepal, which is grossly marginalized from the eyes of Nepal government always, as well as globally. And also works in the national level and as well as international level. It advocates for peace and justice by addressing historical, cultural, structural and institutional inequalities, rather talk about political and security process. Here, I would like to recall the saying of General Secretary Ban Ki-moon. He appealed to live together to us for sustainable peace, sustainable development and secure future. If you are agree with him and with Dean Locke, let us chant the song, the Miteri Gaon, Let Us Live Together campaign, how it is and how it works. You guys also can see the stall in the side. You can see the poem there as well.
I desire neither earthly kingdom nor even freedom from birth and death. I desire only the deliverance from grief of all those afflicted by me. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector of those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I to abide, to dispel the misery of the world. Shanti Dev.